Hello and welcome to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jeff Goodman with me, and we are joined today by the big winner of the weekend in the A-10, George Washington head coach Chris Caputo. 12-3 start to the season, 1-1 start in A-10 play, but that one win was a big one, 82-62 over Dayton on Saturday afternoon. Big headline for me there: Christian Jones, 23 points. The freshman stepping into the starting lineup and had a big impact for you. Connecticut native, by the way, Caputo. Connecticut
Yes,
native right there for you.
yes. Stratford. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like we win a great game and play very well. But of course, coaches only say like, well, we were up four with a minute 30 to go at Richmond. Like that would have been nice to win that one, and then you'd be feeling even better. But it's not the way, it's not mostly not the way coaching works. So but great performance from us, especially without Darren Buchanan. Great performance from Christian, who's played very, very well, to date. And yeah, it was a good moment for us as we continue to elevate the program to get a team like Dayton, who's beat UConn, who's beat Marquette, like who's got some great wins. Obviously, great program, great coach, all that. So it was good for us to do it and do it in a pretty convincing fashion.
All right, what was the mood like? What were the practices like in between the Richmond loss before the
Uh,
Dayton game?
yeah, like again, I want to say I'm pretty process driven. So like, I just told the guys after the Richmond game, like, look, um, if you play as hard as you did today, which I thought they played very hard at Richmond, we defended whatever. We just had a couple of things really go against us or not our way. A couple of missed shots, couple of wacky whistles, and like I'm like if you in our where we are in the league right now in terms of our situation, I think if you do all of that, you're going to be in every game like this.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, look, you just got to get used to like this is what it's going to be, and we're going to find ways to win, more of these than not. And quite honestly, Dayton was that until the last like 2 minutes. Like we were up 16 at half,
Yes.
they stormed back, cut it to three, and then we were, we extended out and then made a couple of shots at the end to get it to 20. But I think that's where we are. Certainly, um,
You
Darren's
got to win
out.
the close games. You got
Oh,
to
and
find a
Darren's
way to
out. I
win
mean,
those.
that's another whole thing. But like, Garrett Johnson out for the season. Like, we have
Mhm.
a good group, but we're just like everybody else. In my mind.
Yep.
What's the latest on Darren? Do you have any updates?
Just it was just an ankle, so we'll just see. It was a little bit better, I think, today, and we'll see.
Look
So
at
how?
Rob. Rob playing reporter. I
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow. I was
yeah.
shocked he asked that
It's
question.
good. Good
This is
question.
the
Good question.
new year, new me, Goodman. New year,
Yeah,
new
there
me.
you
New
go.
year, new duster, who starts, by the way, prior to this pod, prior to us starting. Rob has, how long have you known Caputo? How long have you known him?
See, you almost said
Yeah,
Caputo.
because you
You
screwed me up.
almost
How long have
did,
you known him? How long have you known him?
but way too long. Probably what, 12 years now, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, maybe more than
Long
that.
time.
He
Yeah.
starts before the pod with, "Hey, Chris, can you pronounce your last name?" I'm like, "What? Like,
He
how
wanted
many
the
times have?"
um We wanted the official Italian, back in the old country way, not necessarily the way that I've said it always. He wanted to make sure he was right with
Okay.
the
Yeah, I
people of
and I was, and I
the Kingdom
was.
of Italy.
See, I'm sympathetic though, because my last name is Doster, but a lot of people see the AU and pronounce it Douster. So I
Buster.
A
I
ton
always
of people do that, and,
yeah.
and you never correct them. You
I,
never correct them.
I don't really care all that much, but it's just something that I'm
In
cognizant
the
of.
same
So
boat. In the
yeah.
same boat. Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that I got it right, and I did. It's called being a good reporter, all right? Making sure
That's
you're
right.
accurate here. Um,
High, it's like we tell the players, high detail. We're gonna be in these close games.
That's
We're
right.
gonna be detailed. You'll be a
see,
detailer.
See, you get it. You know ball, Caputo. Your guards. I want to talk about your backcourt because
Yeah.
Gerald was awesome again. Christian
Yeah.
was really good. You got 17 off the bench from Trey. Um,
Yeah.
how do you kind of keep this thing going once you get Darren back, right? How do you get when you have a player that demands as much attention and frankly as
Yeah.
many touches as Darren is going to need? How do you
Yeah.
kind of keep it going with the guards and get him back? Because that's the sweet spot, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. We talked to Darren a little bit about even before the game, before he got hurt in practice day before about um, James Bishop created great opportunities for him. Garrett Johnson created a lot of space for him, right? A lot of gravity for him on in terms of the way he drives the ball. And then we're not playing him at the five as much. Like we play a lot of small ball at times. We were very good at times when we did that offensively. It was kind of like our Draymond death lineup early in the year where we could put him at the five and we'd have some interesting matchups with driving other five men, creating action there. And because Rafael Castro and Sean Hansen are, I think, so good, for us, they've been so good for us. The way our roster shakes out doesn't really allow us to play him at the five as much. And so, yeah, it's a good question that we're still trying to work through. And there's things we've told him, like, look, that was then, this is now, this is what we got to do now to help create a little bit easier baskets for you. Because he's not a great shooter, obviously, from three. And they put a lot of people in the lane when he has the ball. And so, he's got to find ways to get easy ones where it's not him just bludgeoning the ball to the rim, every time.
How much have you been paying attention to the league? Because it's good this year. Like last year was
great. Yeah.
Last year. Listen, even for us doing this pod, it wasn't quite as easy as we had hoped. This year, it's so easy because so many teams have gotten off to good starts.
Yeah, look, I've been in the league 3 years. Like the first year was not a strong league in terms of all the metrics and everything. And we had a winning record in the league, but I was doing it with five guys, I'm like, we were able to squeak by. Last year, I felt like the league was getting better. And you look at the postseason, we had two teams win games in the tournament, a number of teams win games in the NIT. And two of the teams didn't win our league. Richmond and Loyola Chicago won our league, and they didn't make the tournament. The teams that made the tournament won games. And I think, man, it's getting better. I look at the league now at the number of teams in the top 100 of any of these metrics. And, even us today, we're 116 and we don't have Garrett Johnson, who's arguably, in my opinion, first team all league, second team all league. Mm-hmm. It's not like a 6'1" guy that shoots 40%. He's 6'8", right. And he rebounds and he generates rim attempts. And so we're 116 without him. I'm thinking we're top 100 with him. And all of a sudden there's another team in that group. So I think the league is very, very well balanced. Everyone in the A-10 is really trying to win in basketball. And I think going forward, I think that all the way the rules are, it's helping. It's going to help the A-10. I really do think that long term because we don't have to deal with football at most places.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing, and not to make you talk too much about the league, but just kind of big picture, the thing that really stands out to me is we all kind of expected the St. Louis, VCU, Dayton, and St. Joe's, and Loyola, put them in there too. Those five to kind of, we thought that they were going to be really good, right? But what stands out to me, Bonnies are 14-1, 2-0, and look like they're going to be in the mix for this thing long term. URI keeps winning close games. They're 12-2. They just got another game winner from Sebastian Thomas. The teams that we thought could kind of be middle, I'd even throw you guys in that mix as well.
George Mason, us.
Yeah. Teams that we thought could be somewhere in the middle between 5 and 11 or whatever it is, look like they're going to be in the mix and make a run at least top 4, right? Maybe more than that.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what I told the guys after Richmond. I'm like, hey, if you're upset, you better get comfortable because if we play at our best, this is what the games will look like. And we'll have to. We have a little bit of inexperience in the backcourt with freshmen and sophomores outside of Gerald. So that's where you worry a little bit on our end because you don't have those older guys that are in their 5th and 6th year at the point or combo guards or whatever. But I just think the league is terrific. It's well coached. I mean, I thought Dayton going into the game, I'm like, Posh Alexander led the Big East in steals 4 years in a row. Going into the game, he was 4th on their team in steals.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive. So it's exciting to be in the mix, and I think that's where we are, which is a good place to be. If we can stay, that'd be even better.
Hey, Jim Larranaga, your mentor?
Sure.
Fair to say, right?
Yeah.
Fair to say, your mentor.
Yeah. I owe my whole career to him.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Curran, our high school coach.
Yeah. You've had two incredible coaches there. He called it quits, I don't know, 10 days ago or so. at Miami, 75 years old. I said it. I thought it was the right time. Maybe not the right time in terms of during the season, but 75 years old. I don't know about you, but I want to be on a beach. I don't want to be. I don't want to be waking up with anything that I have to do. Just kind of reflect, if you can, on your time with him, your success with him, maybe a story that stands out that either you haven't told or you have, but it's just an incredible story.
Yeah, I mean, I look, I owe a lot to Coach. I think you're just going to have a hard time finding anyone who has won this many games at the type of jobs he's had, and it's in all due respect to those places, Bowling Green. Not the easiest job in the MAC, not the easiest job in the MAC in the state of Ohio. Right. George Mason, which, has become a good job and a good fan base and everything like that. But certainly when he got there, 7 straight losing seasons, and Coach Barnes did a good job there, obviously for a short time, and Joe Harrington before him. But not a place, again, that's a perennial NCAA tournament, hasn't been back to the NCAA tournament, since Coach Larranaga left. And, when we were there, goes to the Final Four. And then even people forget, round of 32, the last year, and that year was the best year in the history of the CAA. 3 teams in the tournament. We won 15 straight games in the league. We dominated the league, in the best year in the league's history. VCU winds up going to the Final Four that year. And then to take Miami, who, quite honestly, I mean, I think, I thought, okay, it's a really hard job. I mean, people
Really
at the
hard.
time, really hard. I mean, we're flying commercial to games. We were, didn't have much history or tradition to speak of. Again, Coach Hamilton had done a good job there, but then was able to go to the Wizards after that. And so, and they didn't really support the program for the coaches that followed him at the level that they needed to. And so I thought, man, this is a hard job in a really good league. And then all of a sudden the league gets better with Syracuse, Pitt, Notre Dame, and Louisville. And yet, Final Four, Elite Eight, 2 Sweet 16s, multiple other NCAA tournaments, NIT championship. I think maybe actually did better than I even anticipated he would do there. And man, it's hard to win that many games at those places.
Yeah, people don't realize.
I think if I had Bowling Green, George Mason, Miami, that's hard to get to 800 or whatever, 750 or whatever he is, wherever he's at, So
I think the most impressive thing about it, Chris, is that one, he's the only Final Four for 2 of the programs that he took to the Final Four, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I think you are right about the fact that it's not like he's doing this at Duke and North Carolina and Kansas. But even more to the point, he built Miami twice, right? And you were there too. You went from being a team
we redid it. Yeah.
You built it up and you had that thing rolling. And I think you won an ACC regular season in the mix somewhere.
We won the ACC regular season tournament, went to the Sweet 16 in 13.
Yep.
Went to the NIT championship game in 15. We went to the Sweet 16 in 16, back to the tournament 17, back to the tournament 18. Yep. Had Bruce Brown not been hurt, we lose to Loyola at the buzzer, that team could have gone deep. And then obviously got derailed by the
FBI stuff,
insanity of the Southern District, complete overreach of which now it turns out it was actually illegal to even not pay the players, I guess, So, and again, we had nothing to do with it. We were out of it before it even started, because they looked at our documents and said, "Hey, these guys are clean. There's nothing to do with this." But we had Sadiq Bey committed. We're in the mix for Nasir. Sadiq Bey committed on a Sunday. The thing happened on a Tuesday. Certainly in the mix for Nasir Little. Certainly we were recruiting Vernon Carey, whose dad played football, at Miami at the time. Scotty Barnes was his high school teammate, and again, I'm not saying it all would have happened, but we lost a lot of momentum because of that thing. And at the same time, we lost Lonnie Walker, Bruce Brown, and DeJuan Hernandez early to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And so the combination of this thing happening and those guys going pro at the same time, which just took us a long time to get it back. And then for him to get it back and go Elite Eight and up 6 at half on Kansas, and then go Final Four the next year. I mean, it's really remarkable.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen some of the criticism that he's taken since the decision to step down in the middle of the season, right? Do you think any of that is fair?
No, I mean, I think to reason decide when he felt like it was the right time to not continue on. And I think, he's the ultimate lifer, ultimate coach that knows like when you feel like you're not the right guy to do this, or it's not in you to give what you have to give to the group. Yeah, then I think it's the right. I think every coach probably has to feel that way. If you're not giving the group everything you got, or because you feel a certain way, then you can't fake it,
I could see it in Charleston. When they came down here, honestly, Chris, I could just see he just didn't seem the same. I mean, he lets his guys cook anyway, right? Let's face it. But it was different watching him just kind of stand and sit in the scorer's table. He just didn't look like his heart was into it at that point. So it really didn't surprise me that he didn't make it through the year. What is the biggest key? You guys, again, go to Rhode Island. Another surprise team coming up.
Yeah,
hopefully,
difficult game. Yeah,
it sounds like you're going to have Darren back.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, not sure yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to give Arch any, added material here. So
He's got
we'll say he's
enough good
questionable,
players.
Archie. Darren Buchanan, questionable for the
Got
game.
enough good players, good coaching, good environment there. It doesn't need any help from me.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I've been so impressed with, well, first, I think I'm really impressed that like they get Sebastian Thomas back and how good he's been. And then I think he's done a really good job of like the guys that were there, done a good job with some evals. But the guys who were there have some of the guards that were there kind of step back so that Sebastian Thomas can have higher usage and everything. And yet it seems like their chemistry is pretty good. And obviously they've been good. So yeah, I think really good veteran group. And going to be difficult task up there, for anybody in the league. It'll be that way for us as well. And it's funny as we go to Richmond and lose, and people are like, "Oh, Richmond, they're no good" or whatever. And I'm like, "Okay." And then they go up to UMass and win, and you're like, Coach Mooney's been doing this for a long time. He's a great coach. It's like not going to be, he's not going to just lay down, So these guys are good at fixing things, and that's ultimately where when the playing field is so level, I think everybody is trying to like make adjustments, whether they win or lose, to try to get better for the next night. Because it's not like I have to tell my guys tomorrow, like, hey, just so everybody knows, like we're probably not winning by 20 at Rhode Island, right? Like so, like we can get that out of our minds now.
You know what I appreciate about you, Chris, is you're very. Not a lot of coaches are as open and can kind of talk as honestly about the rest of the league as you are, and it's something where it doesn't feel like there's BS coming from you when you have that kind of like conversations, like talking about Sebastian Thomas, right? It just doesn't feel like it's. Sometimes it feels like it's faked with coaches in the media, and I don't feel like we.
Yeah, I'm not really good at the fake. I'm not good at fake. That's.
No, you're not.
I'm not good at that. Like I can't. I'm not really not. No, I mean I've been very fortunate when we talk about coach. Look, I was an assistant for 20 plus years, in the Colonial when the league was really good and multiple teams were winning games in the tournament. And then, the ACC when, 15, I was talking to my staff about the other 15, 16 seasons, we had 11 of the 32 Sweet 16 teams. No, and you talk about the coaches in the league at that time. I mean, you got Jim Boeheim, Rick Pitino, Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Larranaga, Tony Bennett. I mean, it's not to say Leonard Hamilton, Mike Bray.
Yeah.
I mean, the league was a joke of how good it was, the players, and so when you feel like you're in a competitive league where you have to bring it and like everyone's trying, I feel that way about the A-10 right now. Like there's very good coaching, very good players, and like this is not a comfortable situation to be in. It was comfortable for about 3 minutes yesterday at the end, or 2 minutes at the end of the Dayton game, and then it's usually like you win by one or you lose by one, and either way you're kind of done. You're kind of like, all right, I just need to chill. Like I'm close my eyes here. So the rare time when you play very well against a good team and you win like by that margin, it's like I might actually enjoy my Saturday here.
So at what point, like as a fan of a team, you always, I'm sitting there like running through the worst case scenarios, right? Like at what point did you kind of settle yourself and say, all right, I think we won this game. I think we've got
Yeah,
this one
like
covered.
coaches, I mean, it's like at 1 minute and 47 seconds. I think it went analytically final at 1:36. I was kind of probably there at like 1:47 or something. Yeah, you just like every disaster could happen. So
No, but that was a huge run to end the
yeah.
game. I mean,
Yeah. That was a closer game that we
oh,
made a bunch of shots late and we took care of the ball. That was, I think why we're able to get shots. And so
are,
uh
are, is my brother-in-law now invited to every
yeah, every
single
game is your
every
brother-in-law's
game?
at the game. Every game now, he's got to come. Matter of fact, I need to text him when we're done here that he needs to come
I
back
know.
to every game. Yeah, it's great.
If
Had a
it's a
couple of had a couple of those people wanted to come in for the Dayton game, and now I'm like, no, you'll be
right,
back. You came on the 11th.
exactly, you can't just come for Dayton and
Uh,
BCU. You better come for absolutely
uh,
everybody.
yeah.
No, this has been. I mean, again, last year was so challenging for you in a sense that you only had five guys, right? Like you were so shorthanded.
Well,
You were only a
we were
certain amount of
14 and
minutes.
3 on January 16th. We beat Mason by 15 points. We played our best game, just like we did yesterday. I mean, it was Dayton is a better team than Mason was last year, obviously, but it felt like, wow, we played about as well as we could play.
Yeah.
And we're 14 and 3 and 3-1 in the league with wins against Mason like that and at VCU. And you're like, hey, look, like we're young, but we're going to finish pretty good, like whatever that looks like. I don't know if we're going to be at the top because we're a little had the eighth youngest lineup or whatever in the country, but I'm like, man, this is going to be a good second year. And then, you lose a couple games, then you lose Darren and Garrett, basically. Darren came back late, but it was very challenging on everybody in the program. And I think you learn a lot though from that stuff. You know what I mean? You kind of like because everybody's you're easy to pick on and all that. So
Well, people don't know, and that's the hard part, right?
right, they don't know,
Sometimes,
and nor do they care. But yes, right, they don't know.
right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's the hardest part of it.
yeah.
You can try to educate people all you want, but they want results. Like
No,
especially
no,
at a place like GW, right? Like there's a lot of history there. They want that program back to what it was
correct.
when they're
Yeah,
playing in the NCAA tournament, when they're competing for league titles. They don't
yeah.
care. I mean, really, they don't care.
No,
It's
that's the point. And that's the disappointing point is as you're building it, you had some momentum with that.
yeah.
And you're like, man, we're not where we want to be, but it feels like we're getting there. And that's what I thought for us this year. All of a sudden we find ourselves here in early January, maybe in the same place after the way we played yesterday, right? That we're in that same like, hey, good record, good momentum as we build this thing. Strange time to try to build any program, right? When they change the rules in the middle of the season and all that stuff. It's like, but it's fun, but it's just much. Last thing on my end about this is when we used to all sit at like the Villa 7 and all that stuff, all those seminars about what it's like to become a head coach, and guys used to get up and say, okay, these 90 days and all that stuff. And like all that went out the window in April of 22. Like, because the whole thing changed. So it's like not the things about running a basketball program, but more about the strategy behind roster building and how to time certain things and how to get older and all that stuff. That all just there was no blueprint for okay, you're gonna have to go ask donors for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of
Over
dollars
and over.
to pay the players. Like, I mean, that where was that in the manual, you know? But anyway, here's where we are. So
Have you added the go-go band yet?
it's, having a new athletic director, Michael Lippitz, who was at Maryland, so he'll have an appreciation for that. I'm glad you reminded me. I probably should text him right now and tell him, hey,
If you
Rob,
need, hey, if you need someone to back you up, I got your back.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, kind of.
I want to watch you. I want to watch you play Michael in tennis, and I want video of it.
Oh man, there's no chance, no chance.
He would
Chance.
smoke you. That would be
Ping,
6-0,
ping
6-0.
pong, ping pong. He's brought a ping pong table into the building, so I may try that off camera, see if I have any chance.
No shot. No shot. He would skunk you.
There's no doubt. I mean, I'm not denying that.
Yeah. Listen, Chris, appreciate you taking the time tonight. You got a storm coming in. Us on the East Coast have a big storm coming in. If there is a snow day tomorrow, what's your game plan? Are you going sledding? Are you putting on the snow pants? Are you getting out
Yeah,
there?
no, but well, my Miami, my children, my 10-year-old and my 5-year-old, who were born in Miami and have had minimal experience with snow, although they've been here a little while now, but it doesn't snow that much in DC, as you know, so they're pretty excited. I mean, they're kind of like, it's like literally the calm before the storm. We're going to have to find our way to campus to practice. The good news about GW, everybody's right there. It's like nobody lives too far away. So, but then, yeah, no, we've got some ideas about some sledding and things like that if I can make it happen. But it's the good news here, the difference between here and New England, Jeff, is it goes away, right? Like it'll happen and then it'll go away. It won't sit there like black ice, gross looking stuff sitting on the ground.
You know what the good thing is, Caputo?
Here in Charleston.
It'll be 63 degrees tomorrow where I am. So I'm okay. I feel good about this.
You're done with that. You're not going to be reminiscent of at all. You're not going to look at it.
Hell no.
I wish I had like a hot chocolate or whatever. And,
No, I'm going to be out there walking around and laughing at all you schmucks up in the Northeast having a shovel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited about shoveling tomorrow. I can't wait. Listen, Chris, always good to catch up with you, man. Great start to the season. Best of luck moving forward and keep these wins going.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.